Welcome to episode 79 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. Thank you for tuning in. Available every Tuesday on all the podcast apps and anyways, listen to audiobooks, and on YouTube you could come and watch. Now, whole month we're doing Christmas songs, right? And we stick into that theme. But I tell you, I went to church a couple of weeks ago with Zachary. It was my anniversary, right? My anniversary. First anniversary. I survived a year. It was touch and go. I'll make it. And in the church, Father Pierre was talking about the Sunday before Christmas, doing a Blue Sunday, where he spoke about the people who have a rough time around Christmas time for several different reasons, and they have a mass that is dedicated to them. And I was touched, I tell you, I'm going back to church. I'm going to join the church. But I want to join a small church where we have vibes, you know what I mean? We have vibes, where the music, little vibes here, and you can wine on people in the church and them things. I'm going to a small church. But I like the idea of the Christmas blues thing, so I promised only a Christmas blues episode where we could get into the music that, I don't want to stray from the topic too much. I try my best not to stray in episodes, but you ever notice how women is listening to love songs when they have a heartbreak? I'm talking to the fellas now, right? We do that? I don't think we do that. We look for a rebound. But women have a way when they're sad, right? They go and listen to sad music and get sadder. But I suppose they get sadder, they intensify the sadness, deal with it, and then come back as normal people on the other end. But we as men, we suppress all that sadness or take it out on somebody else. You know what I mean? So this episode is a sad songs episode where it have some very popular songs for the Christmas that you and all might not notice that the theme of the song is a certain level of sadness running through it. And there are several reasons why people don't like Christmas and feel sad around Christmas. So I wanted to dedicate this episode to people like that. But also feeling like I'm starting to recognize in myself and maybe start to watch everybody else, where as jolly as Christmas might be to you, it have a certain amount of sadness and a certain amount of letdown that built into the, what is that festival? Into the holiday season itself. You know what I mean? And we're going to address all that this episode, and I'm going to have a special guest coming in this episode to help us explain. We've been here for a long time, If you're if you're a faithful, long-time listener to this podcast, you know who we're talking about. And I get to come and talk to us about why people feel sad during the holidays, or why do we feel sad during the holidays, why we feel let down, why we feel exhausted, and what are some of the ways that we could help with that. So at some point, Neola is going to come in. If you don't know who that is, that's Neola Zamo. She's the best. You know what I mean? We only get the best around these streets. So I want to start with a song that is close, near and dear to my heart. I was going to end the episode with this song now because I think it's one of the best sad songs for the Christmas. And I move it to the start because I realized I do a whole episode last week with Baron and Scrunza about who's the Parang Soca King. And me and Pa crazy in the mix. What is happening in these streets? We falling back.
Mommy, will you sing Jingle Bells for me?
Yes.
No, it's not Christmas yet. You're not getting any toys.
We coming to right all wrongs. But listen, you had to listen to the lyrics in this song, because imagine you sad and everybody else around you happy here.
The pot shining like a saxophone. Cobweb inside my butter dish. The worms in my belly speaking Spanish. But still on the radio I hear everybody say Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. De nosotros
Listen, lyrics good, eh?
Two people arguing in a corner, but the biscuit pan ain't have no flour. Hands get vexed and bust up my sugar pan too. And like they planning to stage a coup.
Yeah.
They kept like a vagrant on the street. Nothing in the house can't get rat to eat. Cockroach in my kitchen, he complaining. Nothing in the cupboard, he migrating. But still on the radio, I hear everybody say, Merry Christmas, 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 Merry Christmas.
You know when everybody around here saying they're feeling Christmas and they can't wait to see Christmas and all the lights go up and the music change and you still sad?
It's 10 more days and Christmas round the corner. No food, no toys, can't buy me liquor.
Yeah, man.
The only positive thing that I see is no more house flight to bother we. Rockpile lawsuit against my wife. No cheese in the rat trap to save the life. Mosquito hire a lawyer too. He said the blood sucking from weed. But still on the radio I hear everybody say, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas. Oh yeah. So wait, maybe I changed my mind and I might have to do a quick review to see if it's really crazy or it's scrunter, or do 20 crazy versus 20 scrunter. It could be a little closer than I thought. I think I underestimate. I don't know why crazy wasn't in the mix there. But yeah, this is the blue episode. This is for all of us who feel that sadness around Christmas time, the longing, the yearning, the disappointment, all those things. We come here and we talk jollies and we get kicks with one another. So we had to address the little sadness and these things too, because these things are important. And plenty of things happened this week, eh? Before I get into that, right? Now I get a special request, right? People tell me to talk about this article, this Anna Ramdas article and what the Express is about and my professional opinion on this thing. And I will say this, right? I will do it if people want to hear it. But the thing about it is this, right? I understand my audience. After doing this is the 79th episode. And I must have a damn round of applause. I've been doing that for a long time, right? A year only have 52 weeks, you know. And then 79 episodes, not counting all the conversations I had with people and things. I had almost 79 episodes where I alone sit down here talking. And my guy Zachary and my girl Stacy sit down here talking. And I understand who I'm talking to. So you see, people who listening to me already understand what is the purpose of sample size, what is research versus looking things up. I will go through all that, you know. But you see, this week I come to enjoy my Christmas. And I come to deal with the sadness around Christmas time. And Ramdas and the Express, I understand that they also understand what is sample. These are very bright people. Let me not go down this road where we feel that people don't know. When you see people doing things, it's not a lack of understanding. People have the reasons for doing what they're doing. And one day, in the very near future, I'm going to sit down and do a full breakdown of what I believe the agenda to be. And for anybody who might be wondering about what this... The article was basically about Sinopharm vaccine not being no good. And boy... Listen, they had all kind of people responding. The Chinese ambassador had to respond on somebody on their behalf. The St. Augustine Medical Lab that they say they used to do this study, quote unquote, they had to respond. The Prime Minister had to write a long letter. He shouldn't respond. the health minister, the doctors, everybody had to say something about this article. And I would need some help, because you see, the research part of it I could do on my own. Because you understand why it's important that research be done in a specific way. I understand why it's done in a specific way. But for anybody who might not understand or mightn't see how important it is that you do that and how you represent it and how you present your findings, I'm going to do a breakdown on that. But I want somebody to come on here and help me discuss the responsibility of media. Because I could tell you, for me as a professional, I cannot publish something like that. You see, me and them kind of thing. All I have is my little reputation, and that my reputation is how I plan to mind my family for my whole life. So that I could get jobs, I could go and do proposals with a certain level of integrity and present results to people with a certain level of integrity. I don't play these kind of games. You see, lost work games? We talking about a sad Christmas. One show way to have a sad Christmas. Imagine you lost your work around Christmas time. All that we talk about it. Or you lost your work and you run up to Christmas when you don't plan to buy this and buy that and celebrate this and invite this one and that one. And I don't play lost work games. And you see that article in the Express, that is lost work. I heard the Prime Minister say somebody needs to lose their work. I don't necessarily endorse that, but I could tell you, for me, if I put out something like that, I would be frightened to lose my work. But I just want people to understand that we bright, everybody who listening to this bright, and it's high levels of degrees and high levels of professionalism that listening to this podcast every week, and also people who are curious and people who like current affairs and want to learn more about topics and understand what's going on and so on. I understand who you are while you're listening to this, but I want you to appreciate this. The people working in the Express and thing is not for lack of knowledge. They know what needs to be done to present a study, but sometimes they just sell a little papers. Sometimes papers and selling. So the Express, they want a Merry Christmas too, and then numbers up. You looking for Christmas bonus. So Anna Ramdas, they want a Christmas bonus, but we will get into that next time. This episode is only going to be a combination of music that I selected as some of the saddest songs around Christmas time. Some of them serious, some of them joking, but they have a kind of sadness around them. True and true. And it is going to be about Neola coming to help us understand why we ourselves might feel sadness around Christmas time and how we could find ways to cope with it. So my second song I'm going to play is about a happy topic. It's a strange thing, This song is a happy song. It's not nothing sad in the song like Crazy On. Well, I mean, it could be broken around Christmas time and everybody is flaunting their opulence. That could be rough. But how does a happy song make somebody feel so sad? I had to ask myself that when I listened to this song. You know it? You know it.
Laughing children tug at Mr. Santa. Teddy bears and dolly saying mama. The fragrance of black fruit cake and red wine will toast to a special friend of mine. His name is Jesus. Come little children round my Christmas tree. We'll have a very merry time. We'll sing, dance and play on the break of New Year's Day. We'll listen to the church bells chime. Christmas presents come with season greetings. There will be such peaceful, loving feelings. Such feelings should not come just once a year. To have, to cherish, and to share. There's a light that shines on every flower. And it shines every minute, every hour. And always guides me on my way. This light was born on Christmas Day. His name is Jesus. Come, little children,
Round my Christmas tree, we'll have a very merry time. Listen, the song is a happy song, but for some reason it makes me feel a little bit sad. And since we're here, hold this to them. That Christmas blues thing. Don't cry now.
Oh, how I wish I were a child again. Red poinsettias keep reminding me Christmas time is just around the bend. Soon the feeling will be heavenly. The kids anticipate vacation time. All Christmas chores must wait a while. If they don't send their letters, bells won't chime. Oh, how I wish I were a child. It's still some days away. When will it ever come? New curtains up and down today, linoleum. Cobweb complete not play. Mom notices, oh gosh, insists that I must stay to help whitewash.
Yes?
Oh, how I wish I were a child again. Red poinsettias keep reminding me Christmas time is just around the bend. Soon the feeling will be heavenly. The kids anticipate vacation time. All Christmas chores must wait a while. If they don't send their letters, bells won't chime. Oh, how I wish I were a child. If they don't send their letters, bells won't chime. Oh, how I wish I were a child.
Alright.
Beneath the pitch oil tin,
Okay.
the fire's burning bright. The tree, the creche, the babe within, Christmas Eve night. They send me off to sleep, certain I'm out of sight. I stay awake and peep till morning light. Oh, how I wish I were a child again. Red poinsettias keep reminding me Christmas time is just around the bend. Soon the feeling will be heavenly. The kids anticipate vacation time. All Christmas chores must wait a while. If they don't send their letters, bells won't chime. Oh, how I wish I were a child. If they don't
Send their letters, bells won't chime. Oh, how I wish I were a child. That's the voice of the man Kelvin Hutchion, right? So again, some little saddish songs. And I have one song to play before we bring Neo on. You remember this? Yes?
Yes, one Christmas Eve, casually I was walking down the street. One Christmas Eve, casually I was walking down the street. I was attracted by the voice of a little boy as he held his mother's hands, telling her his plans. what you think the conversation could be. He said, listen, Mama, I want you to tell Santa Claus to bring a trumpet and a concertina for me. I am lonely, cause there's no children nearby me. Ma, you don't know how happy your son will be. As the water filled her eyes, to realize that she hadn't the answer for his cries. She was so worried, yes, so worried and so confused. As they strolled along the street, no shoes on his feet, while they walked, he continued to repeat, as he pleaded, listen, Mama, I want you to tell Santa Claus to bring a trumpet and a concertina for me. I am lonely, cause there's no children nearby me. Ma, you don't know how happy your son would be. To give a helping hand, she said to me, Mr. Knapp, you can do the best you can. I gave her money and asked her, miss, where you live. That night at 12 o'clock, I brought a lovely box. The next day, she was so merry and gay when she heard, listen, Mama, I want you to thank Santa Claus for the concertina and the trumpet he brought for me. I'm so happy, I have no time to take some tea. Oh, what a nice Godfather he is to me.
So listen, that song, that's Nap Hepburn, if you was wondering. And it's another sad theme of a song, you know, a woman walking down the road with his son and his son wants something, and that's the reality of Christmas sometimes. The children, you want to do everything for the children, because sometimes, as adults, we always say, you know, the Christmas come down to the children. Imagine having a child that you can't provide for Christmas time, when everybody else over-providing, or let me just say everybody else, all of us, you listening here, we doing the most for our children, which is deservedly so. Nothing, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. But I like the idea of sparing a thought for those who would be in a situation like this mother and this child that Nap Hepburn talking about, and trying to understand that not everybody feeling the same way we feel. As much as I love Christmas and I love my parents, I mean, if you're listening to this, you know that. It making me start to question very slowly as I explore this more and more. What Christmas really is, what's the purpose of it? Is it serving a great purpose? Outside of religion and stuff, right? I know only religious people is always starting to think, I'm going back to church, I tell all you. But outside of that, in terms of the gifting season, and it's not just Christmas, you know, we have so many of these seasons that come up where it's about, you start to wonder if it have anything to do with the reason for the season anymore, or if it's just a show. You know what I mean? But better than you, let's talk about that than me, yes, because I better at that. You see just how Nap Hepburn song had a happy ending where at least the child get happy ending, right? At least the child get what he needed or what he wanted, and it's a happy thing, you know what I mean? He get the trumpet and the concertina. Neola gonna give us some nice little pointers about how to cope through these times if you're having a rough time, and how to make Christmas, you know what I mean, to make the best of the season and to rally through regardless of how you might be feeling. And I'm talking to you because I know you're saying you enjoy Christmas a lot, but you're just like me. It has some sadness in the Christmas too. And Neola go tell us why.
Season's greetings.
Same to you. How are you?
I'm okay. I paused because I made a promise to myself that when people ask me how I'm going, to be as honest as possible, but within boundaries. So I'm not going to tell the Pennywise Cash about my trauma. But You know, like if somebody I know and we have a nice rapport, I'll answer honestly and I'm okay. I don't think I'm good, but I think I'm okay. How are you?
Let me try what you're doing then. Because I never ever check in with myself when you say, how you going? I just have a standard answer.
Which is what?
I good, you know me, I always good.
Yeah.
That's my standard response, but okay too. There's just a lot going on. There's plenty happening, so it have me a little bit all over the place.
Right.
But I think apart from me starting to realize maybe I like this Christmas rush thing. Always I'm stressed out, but I'm never able to get out of the way before Christmas.
I think so, Corey. I think so. And we've spoken before and you always do this, right? So
every time.
You'll say, oh gosh, it's so tiring and why I have to leave my house. But I feel like when you get there, you have the best time and you're not the life of the party, but you have a real good time.
I do.
And then you're relieved to get home. But
yeah, that's the part.
I don't think it's the worst thing for you.
No, and the part is, it's not even that part, it's the before part, because now I have painters here. The cabinet guy finished day before yesterday, a countertop guy coming tomorrow. So
is this I'll call it like a renovation. Is this you're doing this for Christmas? Or
well, no. No would be the right answer, because after our session we had this boundary. What was the name of it again? Healthy Boundaries. You remember
Healthy Boundaries for a Happy Life.
Right. So
yes,
we came out of that session having to share about all types of things that I don't like talking about. And one of them was the fact that the first guy I paid for the kitchen was, he did a disappearing act. I had him do all the woodwork in the house. He did about half of it and never showed up again.
He ghosted you.
Yeah, 100%. So I came out of that session saying, listen, I promised myself to get this kitchen fixed. There's some words that you said to me that stayed with me, which I'll say, right? But so yes, I said, I'm gonna, oh, you want to hear them? The words? Well, yes. It was a couple of things. First, you made me say publicly to all the people on this Zoom that I was hurt by the kitchen guy. I still have problems saying that. I don't like this. I was hurt by the guy. I don't be hurt by no guy. But that was helpful. I think saying that helped. And it made me realize how much of a burden it was getting the thing done. And it was already well overdue by the time I engaged him. So it was just more heavy. But you also made me repeat after you that my house deserves a beautiful kitchen and all that. And I was like, and you're right.
These affirmations. What is this nonsense?
Oh, man. A man like me, I can't be seen doing these things. So I promised myself that, listen, if I'm going to take one thing coming out of this, which I always do, anytime I learn something new, I always like to find one thing that I could, the simplest thing, if I could take it from it.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, we finished that around February, March. And I started interviewing people immediately to do the kitchen. And by May, I had a down payment to a guy. Now, keep in mind that I said May, right, of this year. And this guy just finished last week, right? So that has been a task. So the long answer is no.
Being a homeowner.
I don't know if
it's a Trini thing or if it's just when you own a home, you naturally come with. And why I asked you if you were doing it for Christmas is because, so I know we recorded last year for Christmas and we were talking about grief and sadness.
Right.
But, you know, I have noticed this year in particular, more people are coming out and saying, I really not feeling this, you know.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I just not feeling it. And I kind of feel like, this season is compounding it for people because it's almost like this season is forcing you to be merry and jolly. And most of us haven't felt merry and jolly since the end of 2019. And I feel like there's so much pressure. And I'm not saying like it's a person, I'm saying it's this season.
Sure.
There's so much pressure on a person, right? Like you have to clean and you have to keep up with the neighbors and paint. And then you have to balance, okay, so which family am I going to spend the day with? Because this one will get vexed and then I have to do lunch as well. And then I don't like any of the family, but then I have children and they love their grandparents. And what do I do? And I can't afford gifts, but I'm ashamed to say. And it's this ongoing narrative that I've been noticing. And I almost want to stand on a mountain and shout to everybody that you don't have to enjoy Christmas and you don't have to have a great time and you literally don't have to do anything for this season. But I think there's a lot to unravel there, so I'll let you take it from here because I feel like I said a big mouthful.
No, but what you say is so true because coming out of what we did last year, I was planning these Christmas episodes to be celebratory. You know me with Christmas, especially around the music. So I had the last 3 episodes focus on parang in one and completely about parang, like Spanish traditional parang, and then I had another one with some other songs. And then last week I had Baron versus Scrunter to see who's the real parang king. I ain't gonna tell you who it was.
Who it is?
Scrunter. I'll tell you then. Scrunter, since you asked. Baron is good, but Scrunter is the man. And I had a bunch of listeners who do agree, so... but Scrunter
that's a big debate. I think it just shows violence there.
I want to like get both of them together so I could see them violent against each other so they could defend their own thing. So let's see how that works.
Yeah.
But
that would be cathartic. I'm inviting myself.
You will be there. You'll be the referee. So after all that, I was saying, last year we did this because it wasn't until talking to you that I identified something about myself, which happens all the time when I talk to you. But you were talking about the sad parts of Christmas, like why some people may not enjoy Christmas or why it's not such a crescendo for other people. And then I had to start to ask myself, wait, I do enjoy Christmas a lot, but there are parts of it that make me anxious. There are parts of it that make me feel sad. There are parts of it that make me feel, should I say like let down, like it's an anticlimax?
Yeah.
So I say, you know what? It would
like
be
the day itself, right?
The day itself. So I say, you know what? Maybe I should get on to start talking about some of these things. And that's exactly the things that I raised because it's like we do so much on Christmas. Trinidad is seen as a very Christmas-centric society, which I think could make it even harder for people who just not into it, no?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So it's such a tricky time. And you're right in that the last 2 years, even some of us who may see ourselves as Christmas people, it's a little difficult to get all the way into the spirits of Christmas with all the things that we've been going through for the past 2 years. I have Zachary on vacation with me, but we can't go to a restaurant. We can't go to the beach. We can't do much for his Christmas vacation. So we here, and it's like there's that. The best word I could find is like sadness around Christmas time. So I wanted you to shed some light on what might be some of the reasons that people feel, and we could dive into them.
So, we've been, and I keep saying this, that we've been in a worldwide collective chronic trauma, right? And I never use the word trauma lightly because I know trauma is really trending in social media. Mm-hmm. And there's this idea that everything is trauma, right? So if you didn't get a pony when you turned 5 years old, traumatized.
Sounds traumatizing to me.
But no, not everything is trauma. Mm-hmm. You wanted a pony for your 5th birthday.
No.
And you didn't get it.
Still.
But so trauma, when we say trauma, we mean any distress that overwhelms your ability to function. Like your circuit board is overwhelmed, and then of course all the bulbs start blowing and the wires become very frazzled.
Right.
And I'm saying it's trauma because what defines the context, it's fear, constant news of illness and death, and uncertainty. And the brain needs equilibrium and predictability. That's how we survive, because we're able to plan for tomorrow. Right? It's literally how you survive. So not knowing what's coming throws the mind and the body into complete disarray. And so imagine being on overloaded circuits for almost 3 years. And I'm saying 3 years because from Christmas 2019 to 2020-21, we've had 3 COVID Christmases, right?
Really? I thought it was 2. 19, we're already heading into this. It's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's wild to even say 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's the unpredictability and the fear that really saps people's sense of safety. So the opposite of trauma is safety.
Right.
And because we've been traumatized for so long and we don't feel safe, it's really difficult for those other kind of higher level emotions to come in, like joy, happiness, peace. That's one reason, right?
Right.
The second reason, and I posted on my Instagram, and the video is still there, why I don't watch the news anymore. And I really, I really have to say that it was a science-based decision, because when you are exposed to constant fearful news, you activate the back of the brain, which is called the limbic system. Right. And when this is activated, this is the part of the brain responsible for terror and survival. And when this goes on, the front of the brain actually comes off, and the front here is where we operate with calm, peace, logic. It's called executive functions. Okay. So if since the end of 2019 we've had this activated, we literally biologically cannot feel calm or happy or at peace. And so I went into the whole explanation of what happens to the brain, why I chose to stop watching the news, because it was quite literally to preserve my mental health. Because I would very much like to be able to function with my executive functions intact. So staying away from the news helps me to turn my limbic brain off and keep my upstairs brain on, which is how I maintain peace, right, through this very tumultuous time.
I have felt a sense of tiredness that I've not felt before in my life, like eternal exhaustion. That is the best way.
Yes.
Is that part of it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because your body and your brain, they're not designed to be under long-term trauma. It's going to feel very exhausting. So I'll give you a small example. So it's when we're faced with something distressing, we all know fight or flight. Right. But there's also freeze and fawn. So freeze is stay in the headlights, don't do anything, stick your head in the sand, and then it will be fine. Let's just ignore it. Right. And then fawn is, let me go into baby deer mode. So wherever the breeze blows, I'll go there.
Yeah, that's me.
And right, so like when you face a distressing event and that adrenaline starts pumping in the body, adrenaline takes 20 minutes to come out of the body. So it metabolizes, it breaks down, and it comes out of the body. We have had adrenaline and cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Those chemicals have been pumping through us constantly since 2019. It's supposed to metabolize in 20 minutes. We've been in this for almost 3 years. It is exhausting. It taxes the brain and the body. To use just the most trini way I could say it is, you just turn up all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. There's no end in sight. It's exhausting. And there's this demand from the environment and people that you just have to wake up and carry on as normal.
Yeah, of course.
And how
we got like about 2 months of understanding that this is new and all that, and then it was like, okay, all right, let's just function
back to normal. But there's nothing normal about what's happening, right? Yeah. And so to respond in these abnormal ways, to be exhausted and to become even more introverted, and to just kind of have this general shitty feeling all the time, that's a normal response to this abnormal situation. So the first thing I'm saying is we have to understand that we've been in a very heavy, painful context for a long time.
Right.
And I want us to understand the impact that has on the mind and the body. So to remove, please, this expectation, I'm not saying that you are expecting it,
True.
But from anybody, including myself, to please remove this expectation that you are just supposed to wake up and carry on as if everything is fine. This is not normal. And we've normalized. So these are the things we've normalized, which actually go against human nature, right?
Right.
Gathering.
Yeah, none of that.
Please, folks, don't at me in my inbox. I understand, and I'm a very law-abiding citizen.
Right, I'm sure.
But let's talk about biology and psychology, right? So it's not normal to be isolated. The brain is designed to survive and thrive in community because we need connection. So we've normalized fear, social distance, not being able to read facial expressions and proper body language. Now we're being told, don't meet for Christmas. And yes, it's a sad, heavy time.
Sure.
But also for a lot of people, this is the only time that they see people that they love.
Of course.
And people that they could connect to. And this is the only joyous time for some of us.
Right.
So, barring Christmas, though, we've been told, don't hug, don't touch, don't play, don't meet. And none of those things are natural and normal. So we are being asked to normalize fear and disconnection, which actually goes against the human system.
Right.
So we're operating, we're trying to go into Christmas and be merry and jolly under a lot of weight. It's like a ton of weight. And it's virtually impossible. I am looking around and wondering, how do people do it? Or is it that people are just pretending and nobody's really doing it?
I guess.
Instagram would fool us into thinking everybody's merry and jolly, but we know it's just, a picture. It's a snapshot of a moment. I put up pictures on Instagram and I look like the happy therapist who has it all together.
Yeah, you do, just so
but
we
the
know,
rest,
for the record.
The rest of the room, sometimes it looks like shit.
I should show you the rest of this room. Maybe one day I'll do that.
Right? Let's do that. Let's be real and kind of normalize that, guys, we're struggling. This is just a little square on your phone that doesn't show real life. So I'm going to circle back to what I said before. You don't have to be sailing through this time. You don't have to be having the easiest time. You don't have to be merry and jolly.
Right.
None of this is normal. We are living in abnormal circumstances.
Got you. Well, before we even get to how we cope, outside of COVID, the sadness that comes for people around Christmas time, what leads to that? Or some people who just say they don't like Christmas?
I think it's being forced to interact. So a big thing is family and dysfunction in families, right? So most of us have dysfunctional families. Like all families across the world, you learn to work around the dysfunction enough to spend time with them.
Right. Short times.
Right? But Christmas is taxing because it's almost like you're not allowed to say, no, I actually don't want to spend time with you. I don't like you.
Right. Yeah, you can't say that.
So I think it's being forced to spend time with people that you may have toxic relationships with. And Christmas represents a lot of loss for people. There's so many people I know who've had families die in like October, November, December. I know someone, her birthday is on Christmas Day. She can't celebrate it because, everyone is separated all over the world. Relationships have ended, families are separating. And I go back to saying, and I don't think this is just related to Christmas. I think generally in the world today, there's a relentless pressure on a person to be happy. Like you have to be living your best life and you have to be, what is this bullshit now? Vibrating on your highest level.
Yes, of course.
How do you... Corey, have you vibrating? I don't know.
Boy, me and boy.
What does that mean? And it's like you're not even allowed to have normal human responses to anything. So from the time you don't greet this whole Christmas season with cheer and jolliness,
it's seen as abnormal.
We're going to demonize you and just kind of leave you out of everything. So, yeah, I think being forced to put a smile on your face amplifies whatever sadness you may have had before Christmas.
Right.
Right? I think the pressure to spend and put on a front is really intense on people. We've fallen into the comparison trap.
Right.
Social media, it really gets us. There is so much that's fake on social media. It's a whole bunch of fakery. And we take our normal lives and our normal pockets. And, we follow these people and we don't follow them. We macro them and they're having these fantastic, like, shopping sprees and they're traveling and the Christmas tree is 10 foot tall. And we really get sucked into this whole comparison thing. And
am I doing good enough? Am I enjoying this enough? Am I spending enough? Am I making enough to spend? So it could make social media on the whole, and I find around Christmas time is like amplifying it, because what happens is, how can you be satisfied with what you do if you're constantly 24 hours bombarded with people who do things and just having different experiences? I don't know if it's any better or any worse than what you're having. And I don't know if it's true either.
Capitalism. Capitalism. That's the broader context, right?
Right.
But, I will say that it comes down to us to kind of wean ourselves off of that.
Right.
Yeah, and this speaks to much deeper ideas like contentment and peace and values.
Right.
What do I value? Like having new things all the time. I don't want to demonize buying new things, because one of the things that makes me feel good when I'm feeling low is actually to buy a little something.
Okay.
But I'm saying this constant comparison, and if I do this one thing, I'll get there, and if I buy this one thing, I'll feel better. And I'm saying those things are lies. They're lying to you. Guys, they're lying to us. It's not true.
Right.
It's not true. Yeah, none of those things are true. And practically, you have to start weaning yourself off of those ideas in very gentle ways.
I think one of the things, like just again to one of those that you pointed out, right, which is where I started to realize from you one of my difficulties around Christmas time. I think one, I definitely leave too much housework too late, so that I end up being anxious all the way up to Christmas Eve. So like my mom, this is the first year again, my mom, thank God, mommy's probably listening to this, to come and spend Christmas by us. We've been trying to get her to do this for the longest while.
But not to clean, right?
No, she had to come and chill.
Just to spend time with you guys.
The way things going right now, she might end up cleaning, because the painter's now reached, the countertop guy ain't reached yet. She might end up coming and clean. So I think I'll leave it so late that by the time we reach the core of the Christmas season, the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and stuff, I'm tired. So that, and then with anxiety and all that, because I fall out with the kitchen guy, then I had to argue with the countertop man, and the painter ain't reached yet, and you know the whole thing. And that is tricky. So usually around Christmas time, I'm home alone because my family is gone. They say, listen, we're going to stay by the in-laws because there's too much going on there. It's dusty, it's painters, men up and down through the house. And a lot of times, like Christmas Eve is when I have somebody who comes and helps me clean and stuff. She now reach and she's going to spend the whole night. So it's a lot of that is built up going into the season. And what I really looking forward to is parang. Which, when you think of it,
of course,
yeah, that's me. So Christmas Eve night, I looking for a parang side. And what then happens is that I would stay out all night, drink rum, drink coffee, a balance between the two. So when Christmas Day really comes,
balanced diet.
Yeah, balanced diet. It's sure, yeah, it's full of nutrition, nourishment. So by the time Christmas Day comes, it's such a, I just want to sleep. It's a letdown of what the whole, it's too much food. So you like the idea of eating all the food, but then when you eat all the food now, you're upset. Yeah. You know. You feel
so sick, right? It's just too much. Like we overdo everything and then we do the most, and it's never good. But I feel like the letdown is a feature of the system and not really a bug, because there's nothing that could live up to the hype of this day.
I suppose.
Like nobody could live up to it, right? It's so much pressure on the one day.
Right.
And, I guess really the thing is to make of the season what we want, get from it what we need, and like ease into it instead of going cold turkey. I know there's a thing on social media as well. Mm-hmm. Do whatever you want, cut off everybody.
Right, of course.
That doesn't work.
No?
Oh, man. That's real like TV life, right?
Yeah.
Because, if you've never done it before, I think it's really difficult and really painful to just cut off people from your life and lock yourself in a room for the whole Christmas season. That could create so much anxiety that you end up worse than you were before.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I used to do that all the time. I like the idea of just don't talk to you anymore. But unless it's someone who's threatening you and it's really abusive. Right.
Most of us not going to cut off friends and family completely.
No.
Right?
No. And that's the thing too that started happening to me, or been happening to me since I was small, to be honest. Because when you talk about family get-togethers, now that I know what social anxiety is, I didn't have words for these things before, but I started understanding why I wouldn't I would rather not go. I'll try to find any reason to not be there. It's really because of the whole social thing. Now, when I do find myself there, I could enjoy it. But you also gave me a tip last year that I could tell you that when I implemented that, it's so much easier for me. So I set up what happens after the thing before I go. So I know that home is clear. It's peaceful. I have some tea. I have something on Netflix that I saw many, many times before. So it's comforting when I come home.
Yeah.
I have clothes that are very, very comfortable in. So it allows me to come down from those types of things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like now, if we have, because one of the things that would happen in a normal year, right, is Parang side's broken up into two kind of things. Where first you have gigs. That's from October, November, when corporate things and those things could be stressful because now you're rehearsed and it's a performance. It's not me coming to enjoy myself with you. It's me coming to please you.
Yeah, and check the boxes and be good enough.
And remember lyrics and chords. So it's a little stressful for me. But somewhere around this week, you would probably have your last gig. There's nothing that feels, I can't describe what the last gig feels like because everything works. It's almost like you just let go. So everything is perfect. The music is tight. Everything is great. And then from then, it's house parang. You're going by people who you know, who you want to be by, who you want to play.
You're really paranging now.
You're really paranging.
Yes.
So what used to happen is, imagine what I described for you about how useful that tip was, making sure home is good before going to heavy social situation. Imagine when the house is in disarray, painters home, and then I have a gig before. So I play a gig, then come home to a house where it's complete clutter, dust, noise. So I was just doing too much.
Done that this year?
No, this year because of COVID, there's no gigs. We had one gig and it got cancelled. So, but I do that every year, and it is.
You just described that, and my chest started to feel tight. I'm like,
hey, listen, it's hard.
How is it done?
And I didn't know it until you pointed out some of those things.
House.
Yeah, until you pointed out some of those things, I wouldn't realize how much it's affected the way I feel. And Christmas is also the busiest time for our company because that's when the groceries are full and all those things. So that is stressful on its own. And so I never really realized how much of these inputs were happening. So it started making me realize, okay, that is what my Christmas anxiety is about. But funny enough that you talk about grief, and we spoke about this last year, but one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode as well is because unfortunately, with COVID, I had two members of the Parang side who died this year. Earlier this year. A key guy. He's one of the main. It's a rum side. I shouldn't call it a Parang side. That's not Daddy and that team. It's a rum. The real McCoy, when you're going house to house Parang, that's who you want to be with. Men who know songs that nobody else don't know and it's just go with the flow. Yeah. And both of them passed away kind of close together, two guitarists. And so I'm now in this mode that we spoke about it last year and it was all theory. Because I knew when we spoke it was the anxiety thing, but I never experienced Christmas grief. But for a long time this year when Stacey started playing Parang songs on the radio and stuff, I was like, God, my guy. Especially the first one who passed when I hear songs, I think of him almost immediately. So even doing that episode last week with Scrunta and Baron, I like to learn songs that he don't know. So when he's singing something close to it, I could kind of drop that in between and surprise him because he could play anything. And
nice razzle dazzle.
Yeah, I like to hit him a quick left right, and you know what I mean. That was our thing, and he used to do the same thing. Every year you would come with a couple new songs and stuff. So it's just one of them years. I don't know that we're gonna do a lot of house to house Parang adults this year, but the last time I played with him was Christmas Day last year. So somewhere in my mind, I'm kind of looking forward to Christmas Day, but I'm feeling like I'm not sure what it's gonna be like.
Yeah, so that's normal. Yeah, and so every Christmas it will come up for you, but so it will start to feel smaller and smaller. So like at first it might feel like a huge piece of luggage.
Right.
And that's how I describe grief for persons. It feels really, really big and heavy. Mm-hmm. And then as you heal and time passes, it gets into one of those small carry-ons that you always have with you. It just doesn't feel as heavy. Mm-hmm. But these are events that we call anniversary events. So it would be like the person's birthday, Christmas, New Year's, any events that you all would have celebrated together. And when those anniversary events come around, the grief bubbles back up afresh. Yeah, so that's something that you want to look out for. And that's another reason why people feel a lot of loss and grief around the holidays is because it's a big anniversary event, right? Because most people have Christmas traditions. And when you lose someone you care for, it's not just the person that's gone. It's all of these things that you would have shared, the plans for the future, right? The habits that you all had, you're grieving the loss of that and what could have been as well.
Gotcha.
You know, I have clients whose parents died on like Christmas Eve or Boxing Day or, I mean, you know, these anniversary events are so painful.
Well, you know, I never, of course, I never thought of it. Even when we spoke about this last year, I had it in my mind that people who experience this feel this way around Christmas when they lost somebody around Christmas. But when you talk about the traditions and the plans and the customs, it may not matter when you lose the person, is what you're saying, right? It's just that when Christmas comes around, me and you have a special memory around that time.
Yeah. And you can't make any more memories because the person is gone.
Yeah.
Rituals have changed. I hate the phrase, but it's all a bunch of new normals, right? So nobody has to make the panchakram this particular way because Daddy died.
God, Jesus.
Daddy died, right? So who's going to dress up like Santa this year because Grandpa died? And so it brings up all this grief for people, marriages, you know, that have broken up. People who've lost children, people who are separated because of COVID. We've lost all of those family routines, those things that make us connected, all of the community. We've lost all those things. So remember, we grieve for people who are still alive.
I got you. And you said that last year, but it's resonating so much more now because I suppose if I go through a breakup, it could be in August. If I used to go at your family Christmas time and okay.
Everybody's wearing the Christmas pajamas.
Oh, man.
She brings the veggie lasagna, right? You bring this. You've lost all those things. So it renews and it awakens all of the sadness and the loss. And you're reminded. So, you know, you're dealing with the Christmas pressure and then it's the grief there. And that's a lot for a person.
That is, listen, I think I'm now starting to understand. You see, they say who feels it knows, you know, because when we talked about this last year, it was so maybe theoretical for me.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but now I understand because these people passed away long time ago, but now that we're approaching Christmas and everybody's calling, like, you're gonna pass this year, right? And I was like, well, you know what I mean? I get these messages on Facebook and I have to tell people now, and it's not I don't feel like it's my business sometimes to tell, you know what I mean? It's still a family man and stuff, but yeah, you feel the thing, and then everybody's like, how? And it's like, it's like, roof.
Yeah, so you're forced now to relive it, and it's over and over and over and over. And I mean, people are asking usually because they care, right?
Of course.
But it's hard to juggle, okay, I really don't want to go through this, but I know I should say something.
Yeah, and I think with what made it or what makes it even heavier now is that with the first guy I was on during one of the COVID lockdowns. So he is somebody who he knows I'm reliable. So he used to call me all the time and we play well together and stuff. So the amounts of funerals and wakes and stuff I play with him for people who I never met. And then because of COVID, I never saw him. He never had a funeral. I don't know if he had a funeral or what happened, but it's just open, which is awkward for me. I need the closure of
hard. I find that real hard.
Funerals mean a lot to me. I suppose because of, even with him, you know, I go and I play. Especially as a musician, you want to play when somebody going down is a thing. So for him having carried me so much places, and even Stacey's grandmother passed away, if it's not this year, it's last year. When she passed, he was and she was one of those 10 people funerals as well. He was the one who I called and said, listen, we had to do something, come. And you know, we went and we play by the graveside, we play home by her and stuff. So for him being that kind of guy, to come out for everybody and to know that he kind of went alone, no parent side, no music, no nothing. It still feels...
I find that real painful.
Rough.
Yeah, the song and hard. And we need the ritual of the funeral to say goodbye, even if it's to look at it on Zoom. But it brings a huge closure, right? Like, I've done this.
Exactly. It's final. There's a finality to it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I've paid him the time-honored tradition of, now I play for you.
Of course.
And it leaves you in this kind of suspended state, right? Because you're talking about it and it feels like it's suspended because I didn't get to do this thing. And
yeah, that's right. It's just like this openness state. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even I kept telling the guys and the people who were around us, I was saying, listen, here what we'll do. Someday when this thing clear up with gathering and stuff, we'll come home by me. We'll just do something, at least to commemorate it. But then the numbers so up and down and people feel frightened to come out. And
what is it now? Is it now 10 or 8 or 15 or?
I'm not even sure. I try. I like you, I try not to pay attention to it. But what I know, the numbers day to day are so high that people frightened to come out. I think the rest of the parents side, this is old boys too. It's a whole old side. And they know a little frightened when they see the reality of it, what happened to him. Everybody is like, I ain't sure if we should be gathering and that, which I get to respect, people don't want
to
expose themselves and that kind of thing. And we know we are not the best with restraints. When man starts to drink, they like to hug up and get close and no mask and all that. So there's that little thing. But that leaves it a little bit. So now that you're talking about this and it's a little more real for me, I could see where I just had the impression that when you talk about losing people, whether it's death or breakups, I had them in my mind, it's around Christmas time. But now I say the traditions and the things is really...
Yeah, it's an anniversary event.
Who knew?
Yeah, so birthdays, holidays, Valentine's, right? Carnival, some people, because they play together, right? As a family. Daddy going to pick me up, mommy will drop me here. Mommy and daddy playing with Michelle or Brian, but we on this side, and Carnival is a big one in our culture for people and grief. Like who would have thought, right?
Who knew this?
Who would have thought?
She's up to your Ruik. This is eye opening. It's really something. It's like when you talk about the size of the burden and it being small. I like the way you describe it, because the thing about grief for me, it doesn't go away. You always have.
That will never go away.
It doesn't, right?
No, it gets smaller and smaller, and you put it in a place that's really manageable, So now and then you kind of look at it and you feel the twinge, but it's not as distressing as before. But death is a strange thing, death and loss. Just this morning, as I was talking to one of my clients and her spouse died, and there's this moment sometimes in session that you have with clients where it's so raw, the emotion is so raw. They know and I know there's nothing to say. You just really, you stay with the person and you make that space for them. And she had that moment. And, I don't know if I was being a woman or a therapist or a person, and it just came out of me. I said, I cannot imagine how you must feel, because death is such a strange thing to contend with. 1 minute, the love of your life is there, and then literally the next minute, he's not there. But all of the plans that you made, all of his things, the memories of him, like he's gone, but he's still here. And how does the mind make sense of that, right? Yeah. It's a weird thing to deal with breakups as well. What do I do now? Okay, so she left her recipe here, right? I could do that. You could do that. Most times it doesn't work.
Of course.
So it's more pain.
Of course.
Yeah, and Christmas it's worldwide, and the pressure is so relentless that it's really hard when those grief feelings bubble up to contend with. Can I just be authentic and grieve, or is it too uncomfortable for you? So let me just be merry and jolly. You always have to make your grief small to make other people feel comfortable. That's what I find.
Got you.
That's what I have found. And I hate that we force people into these positions. Like, you have to pretend because your grief is too much for me. I don't like it. I feel like I just drop a bomb there because I said it and I started
you're making me
thinking
about myself.
Have I done this to a person?
Of course, that's what I'm thinking. Like, how do we change? Not so much for the person who's grieving, but is there things that we could do to adjust that? Because I feel like It will put a real undue pressure on people now that you put it that way. It's unnecessary, really.
And it's unfair, and I find it's too heavy. You know, so last year we spoke about, I remember vividly when we spoke about what can you say to a person in a line instead of, you know, when you're getting married, when you're having a baby, you ain't got the promotion yet. You know, if we know that people have experienced loss, I think we could just kind of back off a little bit from them. You know, we could change the wording of the invitations. You know, hi, I know you guys are having a really hard time. I'd love to see you Sunday, but I'll understand if you couldn't make it.
I wish people would do that for all invitations.
Let's add the escape, right? Let's just put in a little escape and an out for people. I promise I would understand if you can't make it. And if you can't, like you want me to drop some food for you tomorrow, there's always food left over.
Again, when I talk to
you know, and I know that we have a bunch of Styrotex bowls packed up somewhere behind a cupboard, right? Just waiting for Christmas. We know it. We know it's COVID. We're telling you to drive by and just pick up the food. Let's just drop some food off. So please go easy on the invitations. Ask if you'd like to come and give people a way out. If they come, please don't bombard them. Just ask how they're doing quietly, and if they want to tell you that they're fine and put on a brave face, allow them. Please allow them. You know, pay attention to what the mood looks like. You know, is it really now the time to bring up? You know, I think your mom would have loved this.
God, yeah.
Maybe some people like it because it honors their memory, but maybe somebody just really doesn't want to get into it.
Yeah,
when people want to leave early, read the room, people. If they want to leave early, just let them go.
We good at that as Trinis. Oh gosh, you're going already.
You're going already, oh gosh, you didn't even take a little drink self.
You know?
If you take one drink, you can take a next one.
You can't stand up on 1 foot. You have to, you know, it's just very Trinidad.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking notes, right? Because I forget that I need a notebook when I'm talking to you. It's helpful advice.
When people say no or they decline, it could be anything. Christmas service, drop the food. Leave it. When somebody says no, there's one appropriate response only. And let me say the words, 3 little words. Okay, I understand. Please stop nagging people to do anything when they've said no. Now, I know there are people who, like, it's their style and it's a dance that they do, right? So they'll say no because they kind of want you to beg them a little bit. Right? Because, you know, they have people, if they say, okay, I understand, they'll be offended. Like, bitch, you didn't really want me to come then.
That's trendy too.
Yeah. But if it's not that type,
right,
and they've really suffered loss, just allow them, please. Let's allow people permission to decide how they want to spend the time.
I like this list a lot. I think I'm guilty of a few things on this list as well, so it's things that will change. I really like the idea of giving people out when you invite them places. I wish people would do that with me.
I wish people would give me one all the time.
I wish.
Because I'm an introvert, right? And like I'm always like trying to sneak out the back door and hope nobody notices. God, just let me go now.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw, and I didn't like it. Yeah. I like you. I don't like being out.
For sure. What was you always tell people? You need to be able to tell people that. It's not you, I like you, but I can't do this no more. And playing music is like that too. Sometimes when we finish play, I kind of want to leave. I don't want to hang around. I want to go home. I want to... Especially now that you make the little sanctuary home, and as we're looking forward to whatever I have planned home. It's like, let me get out here quick, let's see what this is. But this is, I like this a lot because some of these things so cultural for us. Like when you say,
exactly.
Don't leave now, you stand up on 1 foot, you can drive, you can stay here the night. Listen, that is us, that's me and Stacey for sure. So I'll start,
stay the night.
I am the stay the night people. I'm like, you done drinking already. You have edibles. We have everything you need here. Where you going? Steady night. I'm the steady night king. We always trying, and we don't go by nobody, We always trying to get somebody to come here steady night.
Right.
Okay, so apologies to anybody who's listening who are forced to spend the night when they didn't want to. I'll change. I like allowing people to say no. Your 3 words are okay. I understand. I like that. I wish people would just say that because when you say no, Christmas time is one of them times for me. When you tell people no, they like, when Daddy and I get together, it's good for the lime. It's going to be lively because we play well. We enjoy playing together. We don't get to play together much again. So it's good for the little lime and the setup and stuff. So, but I'm sure he might feel the same way. But sometimes I was like, nah, good. It's like, nah, but who I'll play with? And if this one guy plays so good, so I was like, all right, I'll come. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just convinced, you know.
Yeah.
So I find that when people say no, most of us, what we hear is, well, maybe, comma,
I need some convincing.
Ask me again. I just want to say, for anybody who knows me listening, when I say no, I promise you all I mean no. Yeah, don't ask me again. Please, if you care for me at all, please don't ask.
You're just going to get a different kind of no, that's what happening.
That's it? Like, how else you want me to say it? Stand up on top of my head? No, like, no.
One of the other things that came up for me, other than grief and loss around Christmas time and the anxiety, of course, the social anxiety in particular, is this, I'm recording a podcast for some people called Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival, and they do readings of West Indian authors. And they read either short stories or excerpts from the book. It's really good. You should tune into it. One called Cocoa Pod. And
send me the link and I'll shoot up the place.
I will. I will. And it's nice hearing them read these stories in your own West Indian accents. But there was one author by the name of Diana Macaulay. And her story was really, really interesting. It was about some girls in an orphanage. And in that orphanage, there was a choir. The nuns would form them into a choir and they would learn Christmas carols. And every year for Christmas, they would go to the homes of the wealthiest people in Jamaica to do performances, carols, and it was apparently free. I guess you're not getting paid as a youth in the orphanage. I suppose they make some contribution to the orphanage. And it was told through the eyes of two of the little girls who were in the choir. And it was riveting, a story, just their experience, being forced to do this, being put on show, going there hoping you could get some ham and some rice and peas and the traditional Jamaican Christmas foods. But you don't want to go and sing, and it shows you. She didn't explicitly say this in the story, but it really made an impression upon me that one of the things about Christmas is that it could shine light on the gap between the haves and the have-nots, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It sounds also, so there's the have and the have-nots. It sounds very kind of colonialistic.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Very paternalistic as well, kind of.
Of course.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good at all. It makes me think back to a time when we weren't free. And it doesn't sound like there's anything free or jolly or merry.
It's going to be
about
hard.
It at all.
And
yeah,
as a child,
that sounds icky.
Yeah, of course. And as a child, you may try to, if you're forced into it, you might try to find the good in it by the food you might get, or the fact that you're going to see a very nice house. But imagine seeing that and doing that.
You're getting out.
Of course, you had to pack up now and go right back to the orphanage where it's probably not the best of circumstances. And I heard her loud and clear when she told that story, because it was just showing you that disparity. And it made me realize that it could be a difficult time for people around Christmas because of that. Because when you think of how we show the family and the get together and the all happy, as you say, everybody in the same pajamas. When I lose somebody around Christmas time, that could be harder, as you said.
That's such a painful reminder.
It would be. And then when you think of things like that, where there's a certain amount of opulence, big gifts, big shows of gifts, not just the gift itself.
The 10-for-3.
Big set of food that we can't eat, a set of liquor and alcohol in Trinidad.
Yeah.
It could be even harder for somebody who's struggling financially around Christmas time, right?
And I feel like, hasn't it gotten worse though, with the economy and job loss and...
Of course, a bigger gap now, right?
Yeah.
So
this may sound unrelated, but on the topic of the orphanages, I know that people really do these charity drives at Christmas, but I can promise you, as someone I've done it before, and I used to work in a couple of orphanages.
Right.
Free, volunteer my time, because it's something I enjoyed when I was younger. I promise you, they don't need any Christmas hampers.
Yeah?
They have an overflow of things that they end up giving away for Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah, they end up giving away because it's too much. It's too much of it. They need consistent attention throughout the year. You know, books for school, clothes because they're growing quickly. People to just come and kind of sit with them and play with them. Yeah, they really don't need much for Christmas at all. And, you know, this podcast, I would love to listen to that episode in particular. It really sounds, I'll use a strong word, but this is just my core feeling. It sounds as if they're being taken advantage of.
She did a good job telling the story in that way. I mean, I'm not doing it any justice, but when it rocked me, I was like, okay, maybe it has me thinking, and between talking to you and listening to that, it makes me rethink what Christmas is, what it really stands for, how we represent it.
Exactly.
You know, how positive is it really? You know, it's really
That's
making
exactly
me...
my thoughts.
Yeah, because the more we talk about this, Neola, the more I realize that even people who say they are big Christmas people, they will have these moments too. I'm sure during the holiday season, because all of us have had loss. We've had things to deal with. We've had financial issues. Nobody in.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about this earlier with social media presenting such a small snapshot of
a life,
a moment of this
square.
joy.
It's a square on a screen.
Right.
Now, I'm noticing, so this whole thing that we're doing now where whenever you're offended by something, everything else has to change.
Right.
I am not a fan.
Of course.
I think it takes away personal responsibility, and then we're going to end up where everybody's offended at everything. So we should all just put blinders and, you know, right? And just don't say, I'm not a fan of it.
Right.
I think we owe it to ourselves to, okay, what do I want from Christmas? What is this for me and my family? You find this thing offensive, turn away from it. You could turn the TV off. You could scroll through somebody else's Instagram. You know what you could do? You could just come off of Instagram for like 2-3 days and give yourself a break. Right? You find the neighbor stuff too snazzy, that's fine. Let them do their thing. You pull out your rate that you've had for the past 10 years and you put it up. And yeah, let's stop holding people and society and culture responsible for offending us.
I got you.
You know, you're doing the comparison. You're the person who's going on and looking and absorbing all of this. You're doing it. I do it. And, you know, we need to stop it. And let's really just gently wean ourselves off of it and turn that spotlight back on you. What would you like this year? What does Christmas mean for you? How and how often and how much do you want to relate to other people at this time? Okay, so do you want to do it by phone? Do you want to do a drive-by? Do you want to spend the night?
I like this
How
drive-by.
often do you want to do it? You know, if you don't want to go and do the whole breakfast at, you know, my in-laws and then lunch by me and then dinner by the cousin, you pick one.
Right.
I promise you nothing will happen. Pick one and you go to it for an hour or two, and then guys, I'm not feeling so great, or, you know, it's 10 o'clock and my cousin is alone this year and I'm just going to spend some time there before I head home.
Right.
You have permission. You can actually do those things.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way, you know, but I get you. Nothing will happen. You promise nothing will happen.
I promise you nothing happens. You feel bad a little bit.
Right.
They feel bad a little bit. But you know what? It brings the dynamics to light. Like, you need to be aware of these things. So hang on. You guys are abusing me into staying for lunch.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to head out. I'm just going to head out.
No, but you know, I hate to bring that back up, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again, but when we did the boundary setting together, it helped me a lot with just how to... I rather feel bad when I tell you no than say yes and stay there and feel bad about
worse.
that. Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, because you're going to feel bad in the moment, sure, you'll feel bad until you get home. I promise, when you put those pajamas on and you put on that show,
you forget about them.
Yeah. And they're not going to tote for as much as you may think, huh?
No, that's something that I battled with a long time.
Most of the time they don't.
I used to feel, so if the event is from 7 to 10, even if I say I'm not going to go, I never feel comfortable until after 10. But let me tell you, after spending those weeks with you, that don't bother me at all. I really, on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of the feeling to give an excuse, I felt like I was at about a 10 when we first met. And now I'm definitely below 5. I don't feel like, when I say I'm not doing something, I don't really feel to explain. If you ask me again, I'll just tell you the same thing again. Because I just
exactly.
I'm not doing it.
Broken record technique, right?
The broken record technique, right? Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you went through that. So it's like, can't make.
Yeah.
How come you can't make?
I
just can't make.
Can't do it.
So yeah, something else. Yeah, somewhere else to play out. I was like, nah, I staying home. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. I need to go home.
Yeah. So
that's it.
I like the idea of, well, that's for us to figure out how to do, right? If we could tune out or stop the comparison. That works Christmas time or not. If the less you compare.
Yeah, I think that's a life thing.
Yeah, if we could do that.
Yeah.
So what do we do now as the person who is grieving during Christmas? How do we start coping with these things? What does it look like when we cope?
So I know that some people's sense of safety comes from solitude. But when we're grieving, it is extremely important to have support. You don't need a whole world of support. You really just need 1 or 2 people who genuinely understand where you are and what you need, right? Start doing a new ritual for yourself. So this can go 2 ways. So some of my clients, so you all used to bake the fruitcake together. Some people feel okay to continue the ritual as a way to honor the person that they've lost. Other people find it's way too painful, so they start a new ritual, right? Something entirely new and entirely different. So honor the memory of the person that you've lost in a way that suits you, all right? Please don't stay alone when you feel like shit. So depression is going to trick you and tell you all kinds of things that aren't true, like nobody cares, you're going to be a downer for everybody, you're going to burden people if you talk about this thing. None of those things are true. Those 1 or 2 people who really know and see what you're going through, they want to be there for you, they want to hear you, they want to love and support. Don't stay alone at critical times. So when those days come where you can't bathe or get out of the bed, call 1 of those people, all right?
I would have thought staying alone was the best thing, so that's
No, so we are designed to heal in connection and community. And I know we spoke about this before, so I'll mention briefly. Sure. Even babies who make more eye contact with their caregivers, who are held when they're crying, who are massaged, they actually grow up to have stronger immune systems than babies who are largely rejected.
Oh.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
And when children cry, that's why we hug them and we hold them and we say, it's okay, what happened? When you cry with a friend, that empathy, that expression in the other person's face that tells you, I understand, what it does to the body is it does something called regulating. So where the feelings are really intense and upsetting, and you have that empathy and love, your body, the distress comes way down. Just comes down like this. Yeah, so it's called co-regulation. So I am here and I listen to you and I understand and I have empathy. And it registers in the brain as, hang on, I feel safe. And that trickles down to the body. And so the body comes down like this. Don't isolate yourself. And that's why depression is such a sneaky little bitch, right? Because it tells you,
stay alone.
Don't tell anybody.
Of course.
Lock away. It's the opposite of what you need. You have to connect in a loving, safe, warm relationship. And you don't need a whole group. You literally just need 1 or 2 persons. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't stay alone. Basic self-care, all you have to do is sleep, eat, and bathe. That's it. You don't have to buy a Christmas outfit. You don't have to do the most. if you don't feel like putting up the tree, you don't have to do any of those things. All you need to do, sleep, eat, bathe, tell somebody what's happening. Simple, simple, simple.
Right.
Okay? And I'm a huge fan of therapy because grief counseling is a thing. So if it's something that you'd like to try, absolutely do some grief counseling. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go. You have about 4 points here, right? And I could tell you I was going to go about this the wrong way in 3 of them 4 points because I was definitely staying by myself. I hate talking too much about things that you're struggling with. Maybe I get better at it. I probably shouldn't say I hate it, but therapy has helped with that. But my first instinct is like lock myself in a room, take a little 48 hours, and when you come back, you're square. It never works.
I forgot the 48-hour, right?
The 48-hour rule, you know what I mean? I'm supposed to be good after a couple of days. After on the third day, we rise again. You know that story? So I
like
just,
a phoenix.
So I am not. But I understand what you mean. I never heard about what you said, co-regulation. I never heard about that before. So it's like the other person
look it up.
really helping you to.
Of course, and we do it with children, and we just think that adults don't need it anymore, but we do.
You're right.
We do. We need each other. I need you, you need me, we need each other. People need people.
I don't like that. I wish I didn't need nobody, you know?
Yeah. I hear you, and I respectfully disagree.
Yeah, I probably disagree too. I was talking about that at the beginning. When we just started recording, I was saying that I had to admit that this kitchen guy was hurtful, and I was like, oh, God. There are parts of therapy that really... You guys can talk about therapy a little bit. There are parts of it that's so...
I feel like shit, right?
Oh, my God. I hate to do it sometimes. I remember working with this one therapist. Like, we used to meet every Friday morning. I used to be so annoyed when it was coming to Friday morning. I used to hate, when we were talking together, it was fine. But she was much more like a accountability partner than a therapist who was going back into too deep into it.
Did you do that?
Oh, my God. I used to be annoying. Have you been journaling? Have you been? I was like, I didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? But it was so helpful like any other coach, if you ain't putting the time, it's really not going to come out of it. No. You could only get out of it where you put into it.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I underestimate, and I don't know if it's a man thing or a Corey thing, but I underestimate how useful it is to talk about things. Even if you don't get a response. It's a man thing. You just, you were telling me about this. Like, men want to fix things, right?
Yeah, so the biological urge is to solve first. Right. Woman, we urge to more connect and speak. Yeah. So that it's really much easier for us to sit and speak with a therapist. Men want to provide and fix and solve. So it's really hard. It's hard for a guy to admit, especially to a woman. Yeah, this ain't working out for me,
Yeah.
I know. It's really hard to see. I know.
Of course, it's hard. It's hard.
And I feel that, yeah.
But I would encourage anybody. I always say, listen, if find a way, find somebody who's comfortable enough, because sometimes it's not the solution that gives me relief. Sometimes just saying it clears the way for something to happen. Is a funny thing. It's hard to say, and it's, like you say, it feels shitty just to tell somebody and maybe just hear about what might be the right steps to take, or what might be just suggestions. Sometimes it feels it's like worse than the thing itself, but it gets better, because then
it does.
Even the idea of you solving it gets a little easier when you admit there's a problem. I'm using my kitchen as the analogy to that, because I came out of your session saying, okay, I'm gonna get this thing done. This is not right. There's a mental block that's stopping it from getting done.
I don't deserve this.
Yes, you made me say that. You made me say that.
Yeah. Oh. All it took was facing the reality that, this guy really hurt me. I'm disappointed. I'm angry. I feel let down. Like, bro, you ghosted me. I don't like being ghosted.
Yes. Yeah.
It's almost like you're jilted, right? It does not feel good.
No.
But, and the great thing about therapy is that it holds up this gentle mirror to you. And when you can't find the words, like, we help, like, let's say it. And then the mirror is there. And when you face that reality, it is so empowering and healing and releasing because you're doing it in a safe space. Right. You're not embracing this painful reality by yourself. Like you're with somebody, it's safe. It's okay. It's okay to say, bro, you hurt me, I don't like what you do, man. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then now it's released and I got somebody to do my counters and
we move in.
You hear me?
Yeah, imagine that. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
without that, I would not be surprised if I found some other project to work on and go into next year with some rubber tables again. I wouldn't have been surprised at all. So it's helpful, and I encourage anybody, especially, I did not know that grief counseling was a thing on its own.
Yes, let me show you. So I always keep my book handy because at this time of year, we do a lot of grief counseling. When I say we, I mean me.
Right.
And this is one of my go-tos. It's Homework Planner for grief counseling.
Right.
This is so wonderful. So this is the therapist copy. But, I just want to point out, like, these are the exercises for each stage. That grief counseling is a thing. It's important work. It really helps people to cope and to keep that kind of forward trajectory as they heal.
Right.
Because grief is heavy. And I do a lot of grief counseling, I've noticed, coming down near to the end of the year.
Yeah, when is the anniversary thing?
Right? Yeah, and it's like literally right in my drawer because I have like all the markers and everything because it's so much grief, so many clients struggling with grief, yeah. Phil Rich is the author, Grief Counseling Homework Planner. It's the therapist copy, but I mean, some people I'm sure would benefit from having a browse themselves.
Right, yeah, and doing some of the exercises.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other unique thing about therapy as we're on this. It feels like, we spoke about this before, it feels like sage and candles, at least when you're on the outside looking in. I think of this spa experience, but it's really a lot of exercises. Exactly. Your sessions had a lot of exercises with them in the boundary.
Psychology is a science.
Who knew?
And people tend to, I think it's not that they forget, they don't know that psychology is a science, and it's a field that's been rigorously tested, and it's been around literally for hundreds of years. We've studied human behavior quite closely, and we've studied the brain and the body and how they work together. And so this book just didn't come out of nowhere.
Right.
This would have been based on years and years and years of research on what people need when they grieve. So psychology is a science. It's a valid science. And you mix that with warmth and humanity, and it made a baby called therapy.
Oh, who knew? Let me hear that again. I need to hear that one more time. You have what?
So the science of psychology met with warmth and humanity, and they had a baby, and it's called therapy.
Oh my God, I'm going to be in therapy for the rest of my life. It's clear, I'll never escape.
Me too, probably. Me too. And secret, I ducked out on my last session with my therapist because I felt like that session was going to be hard, and I chose the easy way out. And as we were talking, I made up my mind that I have to text her to rebook the session because, I deserve it. It's hard, but it's good work. It's good, worthwhile work. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So we have some coping things. I mean, the ideas of I think it comes back down to not trying to go it alone, and therapy is one of those ways to not go it alone. So that's really positive and encouraging. So I like where we are. Is a good episode, I think, for people who now are starting to say, rather than people who feel pain around Christmas time, I want to put this out to all of us, because I think based on what you're saying, we all have those moments in the anniversary times.
Yeah.
And it's for us to take some of these tools and see how we could implement them and genuinely have a Merry Christmas, not just the Instagram version of the Merry Christmas.
That's right. A real authentic season.
Exactly.
Like actual joy and peace. Exactly. Yeah.
So this is my takeaway, right? I'm going to work through what I feel is an ideal Christmas for me and work towards that rather than working toward an ideal. Make sense?
Yeah. So you have your ideal, and then next to that, you can say, out of this, I can realistically do this. Because your ideal might be to just, put your phone on Do Not Disturb until January 2nd.
Yeah.
That sounds great. But realistically, you can't. So how can I work around, like, how much of this ideal can I have?
You know what's unique too, as you're saying that? The ideal might change year to year.
Exactly. Because you change and you grow. And that's okay. You don't have to have the ideal that you had last year. You're different.
Yeah.
You are a different person. I'm different.
I feel like I'm more different after meeting you, but I'm not sure if I'm comfortable admitting that.
Agent of change. I'll take it.
So thanks a million. This was great. I think we left everybody with a lot of pointers. I certainly left with a better understanding of what it is. What it is for me, I always try to personalize it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to take some of these on board, if not all. And I will report. I'll observe and report.
I got some too for myself. Yeah. I think from this episode, I'm taking away to be more intentional.
Right.
With what I want from the season, and to be genuine, to be authentic. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's my takeaway.
I like it. And my takeaway, one of my key takeaways is I'm definitely going to change the way I invite people and give them an out, and stop trying to force people to spend the night at my house. I'll do that from now. This is no more.
You need to stop that.
All right, we stopped. It's not going to happen again. So thanks a million. I appreciate having you on. People would have missed you, so I'm sure they're glad to hear your voice again. And we'll do this again early next year.
I'm glad to be back, yeah. Looking forward to the next one.
It's always refreshing hearing from Neola. There's always happy times when Neola is on the show. We go do it more often. This year was terrible. I have some allies and friends of the show. Now, the place gets so busy and I had some different ideas, and I and all didn't realize so much time passed before I had them on the show, but that ain't going to happen in 2022. We have solid bookings and commitments, so we get back to my favorites on the show. So you're not hearing me talk about all this other background politics every week, right? We're getting right back into the music, So this is another sad song, right? But we listen to this. Like, they have a few songs around our Christmas that's sad, and I'm not sure if we realize they're sad. We just jammed it while we cleaning the house and thing. I ain't sure how much we listen to the lyrics. But this one is a parang. And it's about a mother who dying, and they're trying to get to go and see their mother. But something is between them and their mother. You know it?
Rio Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi madre perla me manda a llamar. Rio Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi madre perla. Cuando yo estaba chiquito, no me mandé para la escuela. A la hora que vine grande, mi amigo mandé a Venezuela. Cuando yo estaba chiquito, no me mandé para la escuela. A la hora que vine grande, mi amigo mandé a Venezuela. Te digo, yo vamos a orar.
Déjame pasar, que mi mamá enferma me mandó llamar. Río Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi mamá enferma me mandó a llamar.
Loguito de Manzanares, pecando de noche y día para poder mantener a tu familia. Loguito de Manzanares, pecando de noche y día para poder mantener a tu familia. Te digo otra vez.
Déjame pasar, mi mamá enferma me mandó a llamar. Río Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi mamá enferma me mandó llamar.
So listen, the translation of that song basically saying, Rio Manzanares, or the Manzanares River, please let me pass. My mother is sick on the other side and she's sending for me. And my mother is the bright star in my life. And if she die, I'm going to die with her too. Shouldn't laugh at that. But yeah, so you see, it's the same thing you're talking about, the sadness that built around an anniversary event. Imagine, that, like we say, losing somebody around Christmas time. And that Manzanares song, people sing it, we sing it and we dance all the time. And the original version of that song is a much slower tempo and a much more sad feel to it. But we speed it up in Parang and we play it all the time and people dancing Mansanari and flinging skirts and thing and they know is fling skirts. Whatever you do now, that thing. Where you do your skirt like that, right? Whatever that might be. Let me get to some different type of sad songs again that we listening to all the time and we realize how damn sad this song is. This man's wife leaving him Christmas time. Yes? Tell you how to apologize to Crazy.
I woke up 5 o'clock this morning, as I accustomed doing each morn. As usual, I head straight for the kitchen. Right away, I knew something was wrong. Cake batter in a bowl, but the oven was cold. Looking wrong, I couldn't find a spoon. Not a protein was hanging. The ham still wanted boiling. I can't find my wife Yvonne. Seems like she gone. Yvonne, why is Christmas Day you choose? Yvonne,
Yes?
girl, you have me so confused. It's Christmas morning, look neighbors coming and parents playing. Girl, you don't know how I'm feeling. My heart is burning, my belly griping. Look, people laughing. Yvonne, why you leave me so and gone?
So think about it. You knocking bottle and singing and drinking punch crema, eating out people's house and singing this all the time. You didn't realize it. How heavy that could be your wife leave your Christmas Day. That ain't no nice thing. Random story in the middle of this, right? Will you still tell all the children about Santa Claus? I need to know, for the people who are listening to this, do you all still carry on this Santa thing and buy gift and give the child and tell the child it's from Santa and so on? Because they have Stacy. I was going to say they have a woman who live in here, but I want to think on it, so I'm kind of bad and I want to end up like Crazy and Yvonne now. But Stacy carry on this thing for years where she's telling Zachary that Santa Claus is passing in the house and she putting down milk and cookies for Santa and eating the milk and cookies. I tell her she don't eat sweet thing, but she eating this milk, eating this cookie and drinking this milk every a half glass. I come home from Parang, I busting up that. Me, you know that is supposed to be Santa thing. She vex when she wake up. So the other day, I tell Zachary, must be about 2 years ago, I say, hey, what's going on? It's not Santa Claus. Is your mother money buying all them? Hey, sometimes you had to get to people, you had to be a little brutal with the truth sometimes. Boy, that man cried. He was so upset. So I don't know if I create an anniversary event for the man. But I'll tell her later and I know Santa Claus now because Zachary was so disappointed. Zachary bring back $20 and handed the mother. She said, well, I didn't want, I don't want to take your money. So I said, but this man, thiefing out. What going on? I said, there's a next kind of problem we're dealing with. This is the whole next morning. This man wake up upset and comes to bring back $20. He say he take from the mother. Is the money from the tooth fairy he bring back? He say, well, if Santa in real, I mean the tooth fairy in real neither, so let me just give you back your money. That's the reason for the man. So I hope me and create no little anniversary event and get this boy a complex. But I need to know if all they telling all the children the truth by now, or if all the children still believe in Santa Claus. But along those lines, I can't leave the whole Christmas season and not play this. And I think I drink too much over all the last episode, so I can't remember if I play it. So you gotta listen to it again.
Christmas time is the time for giving. We learned that from since we're small. But from year to year it's the same old thing. Santa's coming to call. We always ignore it or forget it. This we know is true.
So this coming Christmas, let's all make an effort, get a present for Santa too. Let's trade in the old sleigh and the reindeer for a big car with a chauffeur, get a helicopter, because everybody loves their old Santa Claus. Christmas is here and we all having fun. Santa brought presents for everyone, but he had to squeeze through a chimney for Nicholas. What a horrible place to pass. Why not open me a window or your front door so Santa could bring his gifts? I find that climbing on a rooftop and coming through a chimney is a whole lot of stupidness. Move him from the North Pole, cause it's so cold. Give him an apartment with modern equipment. I made a butler, he deserved. Let us show our love, dear Santa Claus. Everybody drinking beer, whiskey and rum, post Santa ain't getting on. And his jingle bells, there old Santa goes wearing the same old red clothes. We should be ashamed, we should be blamed to treat Santa Claus like a brute. So let's chip in some dollars, take him to the tailors for a new continental suit. Take him out to a nightclub or a movie, get some fine chicks and give a party. It's time to chip in and do our share to make sure he comes more than once a year.
The great Lord Nelson, undeniable. I'll get a present for Santa too, right? If you still lying to these kids and you didn't break their heart yet, get a present for Santa. No, just a few more. It's Christmas week, all you have nothing doing. Drive and listen, all you have nothing else to do. And this is the last episode for the year, I tell only now. I ain't going back here next week. All you'll see me in the New Year's. So from now, Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas. If the Christmas ain't so merry, rally through. You have some coping techniques and things. I hope you can rally through and make the best of it. There was remember to listen to that podcast on Coco Pod. I will share the link as soon as I have it. It will come out on Wednesday of this week, where Diana Gladney talks about these orphanage children going to sing for the wealthiest people in Jamaica and understand that disparity between the rich and the poor during Christmas time. Let us not forget that. I'm happy that everybody... I'm happy for all who are happy. Let me put it that way, right? And I in the happy side too, because I ain't seeing hard times. Gratefully, I could pay all my bills running up to Christmas. I could buy enough groceries. We could eat nice. I could invite people by me to eat and all. That's a blessing. But we mustn't forget how hard Christmas is for some people. And how we go finish Christmas without playing from the Goat Boy? Our next sad song, and listen to the lyrics good.
Barandero with the guitar and the patro and the bass and the pretty señorita with the laughter on the face. When the patro start to rattle, it's like angels coming down. Yes. When they pass around the bottle, time to take another one. Christmas nice, Christmas sweet, Christmas nice, Christmas sweet. Maria, Maria, Maria. The old fella start to pray.
Yes.
Maria, Maria, Maria.
I hope they don't come by me.
Maria, Maria, Maria. Not a thing in my house. Maria, Maria, Maria.
Is my neighbor give me some sauce?
Christmas nice, Christmas sweet, Christmas nice, Christmas sweet. Lay, 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 do. Emily, die, 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 die.
Yes.
When they're coming down the street and they're singing double sweet, then they reach down by the pole, the old man peep into a hole. Christmas night, Christmas sweet, Christmas night, Christmas sweet. Maria, 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 the old fella start to pray. Maria, 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 I hope they don't come by me. Maria, 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 not a thing in my house. Maria, 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 please my neighbor give me some sauce. Christmas night, Christmas sweet, Christmas night, Christmas sweet.
So you see a little simple Christmas tradition. I like how Shadow put it too, because the whole song, all you gotta remember is Christmas nice, Christmas sweet. But as a man who like house stores, parang and thing, you have to remember too, you come into that parang side, 4 or 5 people, it's a normal tradition to go by man and eat and drink whatever they have. And the thing about it is this, right? When I parang it, I don't care what you bring out for me. It don't matter. And most of the houses I go out to eat or drink, not now or drink, I have a little rule. I drink every other house. And then every other house I drink coffee. I think that is balanced out, hopefully. Let me hope so. When we used to parang, right? When parang used to be a thing back in the day. But I know how it feels to when people come in by you to parang and you want to make sure they have things. So you're buying all kind of different rum for them to drink. You slice up some, you slice up pastel. Whatever you do with pastel, and you slice up some ham and them thing and sweet bread. And it's a certain amount of overdoing it too. Like, the reality is that you're overextending yourself. And to be honest, when I go in parang, the parang I enjoy the most is, like, I remember going deep down in Claxton Bay a couple of years and going over the hill in Paramin and Cameron and stuff. The people you're going on parang by is not it's no rich boys you're going on parang by. There's a man who has a little cacapool in his house. Go and Google cacapool, right? He bring out a little cacapool for you. A little, you know what I mean? He bake up his nuts and everything. And it's like an insult not to offer something. But boy, sometimes you have to be so conscious of things, boy, because a man might be here in parang coming down the road and he praying. They ain't come by me this year because I lost somebody. I ain't feel to deal with people coming in my place and things. That happens to we already know. Yeah, we paranging by some people. That was in Cameron self. And as we reach and we start to play music, boy, that woman break down. She was inside the place, and it's a big yard with plenty houses in the yard. You know, them big family in the country, how everybody living in a little place, a little 1-bedroom place, woman have. And boy, we reach outside by that house, which is a house every year. I mean, we parang by them every year, but there's not people I know. There's a man in the parang side, he's make sure we pass by them. And the old man love his parang. He always used to tell me, say, don't leave him out, and don't leave him out. Only come in here and only leave him out last year, only him pass by me. And he's always get them kind of messages that where people looking forward to seeing you. They prepare for you. And if you, for whatever reason, you ain't make it by them, they vex with you for a whole year, you know. But as we reach out the place and we say, Sereno, Sarah. The woman, like a young person, come out the house and tell me, no. And we stop, and boy, that woman open the door and break down. You know, it's the day before the man passed away. It turned into a whole different thing. But I mean, and she wasn't vexed or nothing. But you know, sometimes you have to be so conscious of it. And Shadow played beautifully. Where the whole verse he sing about how nice the parang thing is. The man say the quattro song is sweeter like there's sugar in the finger. He loved the music and he hearing it. But while with all that sweetness and thing, the old man in the house praying name pass. It's not that he don't appreciate it and he don't love the music, you know. It's just that hard times and he don't have. No, I just have one more plus one more. I could do that and we done for the year. Only had to hear from me for the year again. Only get rid of me. I will see only in 2022. But we have one more by one more. Like the more I listen to Neola, and Neola always says you could grieve for people who's still alive. I guess it just I never pay much attention to that in my comings and goings on a day to day. But when she said it this time, it stayed with me because, you know, death have a finality to it, right? And the grief for that is real. But I always thought that is what grief meant, death, to me. But think about grieving for somebody who are alive. We like to sometimes you call it a banker and fufulo, and them things are hard, you know. When you see you only in love and only had all these traditions and all these plans about what would have happened in all your life, and you plan out all these things. You see so much of future with somebody. And then things didn't work out, the person leave you, them with somebody else now, making pastel, all the secret recipe where you teach them. them making the pastel with the next fella. You know what I mean? These things hard. The man of your pastel recipe now. All your puncher cream we use, put your secret thing and your hazelnut. And you're not, the man is drinking your recipe right now. This is hard. That kind of grief ain't easy. And I'm starting to believe that grief could be harder than the grief for somebody who passed away, you know, because I don't know, you don't have a choice but to accept the fact that somebody passed away. You know, I was watching the new Sex and the City. I think, what do they call it again now? And is that? What's the name of it? And just like that. And Big pass away. I shouldn't be talking like this about Sex and the City. They're making my song too good. I like that show, you know. And the new reboot or whatever it is, it's bad because all of a sudden in the second episode, Big just dead on the first episode. That was so sad. But the reality is that you had to face that, and when Yola talks about grief counseling, you have help and so on, but that person cannot get back to you, at least for the more we know so far. But in this new Sex and the City too, you remember Samantha? The bad one. Well, the good one. Depending on how you look at it. She no longer on the show, I guess from the standpoint of the real world, she no longer on the show because them couldn't get along and all that, right? But in the show itself, there's a certain amount of grief that going on, not just for Big who passed away, but for Samantha who was their best friend. And now they're not on speaking terms. She gone to England. This is the story they're going with in the show. And it speaks to a different type of grief, but I feel it could be heavier for me personally, because knowing that she making pastel with this next man and you can't call, you want to call and it's burning your Christmas Eve, your tradition and thing, you can't call. That kind of grief could be real heavy. And like with Samantha, as Trinis, we know how this thing is go. Sometimes you're going away, you ain't really got the green card on the situation with your papers and all these things yet, and you're forced to be apart because you're living abroad. You want a Trini Christmas. You want your husband and your children and them thing to be part of your Christmas, but you foreign because you're out there and you can't come back for any reason. Even during these times, I try not to say certain words during this episode. No trigger words, right? Even during these times where you have a travel ban, people can't travel if you have vaccine. If you don't, you can't travel for whatever reason, right? That's a kind of grief too, where you're by yourself for Christmas time and your family home, and this song encapsulates that almost perfectly for me. And it's one of my favorite, I have plenty of favorite. It's one of my favorite sad Christmas songs. And if you never listened to the lyrics, you could listen to it carefully. And I'm going to play it twice. I'm going to play the version that you know, and then I'm going to play the version that I feel you don't know.
Christmas bells are ringing, everybody's singing, church bells are dangling, young couples romancing. My lover from Trinidad sent me a little postcard. I opened it and read, and this is what the little postcard said. Have a Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do. Happy holiday to you. Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do. Happy holiday to you. You say how she miss me and longing to kiss me. She's very lonely and she wants me only. I stood almost stupefied with tears running from my eyes, but still I could see the season greeting she sent to me, saying Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do. Happy holiday to you. When Patsy was leaving,
Yes.
I know I was grieving, yet I tried my utmost to be as strong as a lamppost. But love is a crazy thing, it is no use pretending. I love her so bad, tomorrow I'm going back to Trinidad to have a Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do, happy holiday to you. Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do, happy holiday to you. My poor arms were aching,
Yes.
and my hands were shaking, yet I kept on sighing to keep me from crying. I tried everything I could, but my heart isn't made of wood. With girl in my hand, I cried more than Alice in Wonderland. Merry Christmas, my dear, have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do,
Happy holidays to
you.
Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do. Happy holidays to you. You want to hear the original song now?
Christmas bells are ringing,
Yes.
everybody's singing, children are dancing, young couples romancing. My lover from Trinidad sent me a little postcard. I opened and read, and this is what the little postcard said. Have a Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do, happy holiday to you. She said how she missed me and longing to kiss me. She is very lonely, and she loved me only. I stood almost hypnotized, with tears running from my eyes, but still I could see the season greeting she sent to me. Merry Christmas, my dear, have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do, happy holiday to you. My poor heart was aching, and my hands were shaking, so I kept on trying to keep me from crying. I tried everything I could, but my heart isn't made of wood. With card in my hand, I cry more than Alice in Wonderland. With this Merry Christmas, my dear, have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do, happy holiday to you. When Dottie was leaving,
Yes.
I knew I was grieving, but I tried my utmost to be as strong as a lamppost. But love is a crazy thing, it is no use pretending. I love her so bad, tomorrow I'm going back to Trinidad
with Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year. Prosperous in everything you do. Happy holidays to you.
You can't say you never hear the original. Oh, yeah, no, that was the original. You know, Skrokro make a little remix. Listen, happy Christmas. Merry New Year. Where does it go? Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody. Be safe during the season. All have a good time. I'm going to find a way to have a great time during this Christmas still. As we speak, our next parent, well, nobody passed away or nothing, right? This time, a man now called, man, you can't get him wrong, a baseman I play with there. I say, well, if I had a parent this year, I'm going to find my boy Ashton up in Lee Platte side. I'm going Diego Martin and pick up a baseman. I say if a bass and Marac and a Quattro, we could still do a thing, but we officially are no parang this year because the baseman now call and say, boy, you see this other Omarion variant? He say, boy, you see the Omarion variant? I ain't going nowhere, boy. I feel I stay home, and I can't get him wrong, and I feel it's probably the best and the safest thing for me to do too. And on that note, I'm going to end this episode with this song because regardless of what is happening, the most important thing, not just around Christmas time, I had a good year. We could do a little year in review now. Let me see if we could do that early next year. But I enjoyed this year. Thanks everybody for tuning in this year, 2021. It was a long year. Plenty ups, plenty downs, plenty ins, plenty outs. But all is still here, and I appreciate that. The amount of gratitude that going into the end of this year with it is immeasurable. There are still have people tuning into this. I miss a little week. They try to half kill me. But I hear. And I ain't coming next week. I tell you one time, nobody don't listen to that episode between Christmas and New Year's. I ain't paying on all that effort when nobody ain't taking more. We go bounce back up next year. So, all in the end from me again, I want to tell all you, I love all you. Enjoy your Christmas, enjoy your New Year's, be safe. And most importantly, beside all the gift and all the food and all the different things we're going to do for Christmas, let me not leave out this part, right?
A special time of year.
Yes.
Jingle and your loving is all I want to share. I don't want no diamond ring. I don't need the fancy thing. The only thing I'm missing is my husband's true loving. Cause the days are getting shorter, but the nights are feeling colder. All the gifts, the drink, the treat, they don't mean nothing to me. Give me love, give me love, give me love. La 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 la. Vanish all my flaws.
Yes.
Now I don't mean to hurt you, but I'm ting to raise my paws. Punch a cream and gingerbread, carol singers everywhere. But for the Christmas morning, man, you always disappear. And the days are getting shorter, but the nights are feeling colder. All the gifts, the drinks, the treat, they can't do a thing for me. Give me love, give me love, give me love. La 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 la.
Give me love, give me love, give me love. The message in the song, you know. No diamond ring, no such a fancy thing. You paint up your vanished chairs, you change curtain, you do all different kind of thing. Most importantly, remember that is a season for love. Alright, let me do this the right way, because you gotta give them something like this. It go be the same place, but another time. The same place on another line. Goodbye, my friends, we are leaving. It go be the same place, but another time. I tell them this. Say thanks for your hospitality, hospitality, hospitality. Thanks for your hospitality. We are going to leave you now. Thank you for your hospitality, hospitality, hospitality. Thanks for your hospitality. We are going to leave you. What you say? Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along. We are going to leave you now. Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along. We are going to leave you now. It could be the same place, but another time. The same place on another line. Goodbye, my friends, we are leaving. It could be the same place, but another time. And when you see man head really bad, right? When you know you're drunk on coffee and liquor, men they say something like this. Well, it's crying time again, we're gonna leave you. I can see that far away look in your eyes. I can tell by the way you hold me, darling, that it won't be long before it's crying time. Ay, ay, ay. Vaya con Dios, mi amore. Vaya con Dios, mi amor. Oh, vaya con Dios, mi amore. Vaya con Dios, mi amor. Well, they say that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and that tears is just the rain to make love grow. But my love for you could never grow no stronger if I live to see 1,000,000 years old. Oh, yo, yo. Vaya con Dios, mi amore. Ay, ay, ay. Con Dios, mi amor. Oh, vaya con Dios, mi amore. Vaya con Dios, mi amor. And hear what she say. Well, she says she found someone to love her better, just the same as she had said those times before. But as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, crying time will start when we walk out that door. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Vaya con Dios, mi amore. Ay, ay, ay. Vaya con Dios, mi amor. Oh, vaya con Dios, mi amore. Vaya con Dios, mi amor.